Google Classroom is finally starting to catch up with Turnitin, and they're starting to improve their rubric function within the assignment. So here's a short video to help you learn how to construct rubrics, to share rubrics and import them, and also I think it's a great idea because it makes marking easier and quicker for the teacher, and feedback for the students. They can clearly see that it's linked to the rubric. The first thing you need to do is to come and actually make an assignment, because if you don't have an assignment you can't actually construct a rubric. So I've made one here. I've called it test, and we can then go in and we can edit that one after it's already been made. Once the assignment's been made and saved, okay, you have to save it, then this rubric button becomes available. Until it's saved, it won't be available. Once you click on rubric, you get some options here. You can create a new one, you can reuse one, or you can import one from Sheets. And if you want to reuse one, you can go and collect it from other places where it's saved before. So these three options are important. We'll just take a look at them. So if we want to reuse it, we click on reuse, and then we come to a new screen in which we have to scroll through and find a class where we have used a rubric before. And if we've used a rubric before, we can find it. It remembers that. We can click on that, and then it will assign that rubric to this particular assignment. If we want to use the import from Sheets one, you must have exported it from Sheets at some stage first, or someone must have shared with you a sheet in the correct format. So if we click on import from Sheets, and we come to the spreadsheets which is within our Google Drive, then we can find a sheet that I've used before, and then we can add that, and then that will bring that rubric into this assignment. Now this is one that I've set up before, a rubric, and I've given it a title here, Criterion A, for the first section, and then I've assigned some points for each one. Now these are the upper limit of each bracket, and so then I've called each bracket level 1, or the level title. You need to decide what your level titles would be. Then I've cut and pasted in here the actual description of what the student will have done at this stage. So when you're marking and you tick the number here, you can then override that and delineate and say, no, well, it's not really a 6, it's really only a 5. But the student will actually see this rubric come through on their marking as well. So you can see here I've gone through and I've made Criterion B, cut and paste them all in. The bottom section has no description, you can just leave that empty. Criterion C, you can see with the level titles, and the same for Criterion D. So if I click save, that will go into there. The key thing to remember if you're importing from Sheets is that rubric that I just went and found to demonstrate for this video was actually a rubric that was cut and paste from year 4 to 5 rubrics for the MYP. So I can't import that into my grade 8 sheet because the description's a little bit different. So we need to go and construct those rubrics for each of the grade levels in MYP. So in order to do that, we would need to come and use the other option, create a rubric. When you create a rubric, you get given all these options here, and so then it's just a matter of going ahead and typing it in. And so you might give it a name, then you click on this plus button here, and it adds levels here. So you might say this is level 2, level 4, level 6, and level 8, which is the format that I was using before. Then I was giving it a title, and I was saying that was level 1 to 2, 3 to 4, etc. And then you can cut and paste the description in here. You can add a criterion appropriately and go through and do all 4, and then once again you just do the pluses across here. So if you want to put your description in here, I suggest you go off to your rubric, which you might have. This is our rubric, so we've got year 1 here, we've got year 3, we've got year 5. So if I'm talking about Criterion A, I now need to start cutting and pasting in here from these descriptions into my area here. Here's where you need to make some decisions, and we might call this year 8 rubric, and you might make a rubric just for criteria A, because sometimes the rubrics are going to be complex, and you may not be able to get all of your descriptions in one go. So for instance, in criteria A we have 4 strands, and so unless you cut and paste those 2 strands into the lower end, cut and paste all of these strands into the middle band, then you can actually do it that way. Or you could choose to make this just one criteria here, instead of criterion A, and you can cut and paste them all in, or you could do 4 for these 4 strands that are here. So you need to make some decisions about how you're going to mark. So let's just pretend that you have made those decisions and you've made up a rubric that's got A, B, C, D in it all the way through. You've attached it to one of the workbooks, and so then once the rubric is attached, you do get to play around with the rubric some more. Once it's in here, it'll add up the total score as well if you put it in there. So then when you're marking, if you click on one of these buttons, it will put 6 in there because that was the thing that we had typed in for that description. If I highlight that, I can change that to a 5 anyway, or I can click around in here and it will change it. And if you click the wrong button and you don't want anything, if you click back there to 0, it will it should have nullified that. Actually, you just need to delete the 0 there and have no entry, and then it will nullify these boxes that you put in. So you can see it's a little bit complex, but it's a pretty handy thing to be able to just click on the squares on the side, and then you still have the note option obviously here where you can type your notes, but the students can actually see the overall score. So you just need to decide whether you're going to make up a rubric for criterion A alone, or whether you're going to go for the whole assignment, or whether you're just going to stay with notes and mark another way. Hopefully that's been helpful and you know a little bit more about rubrics and where to get them from. You just have to remember to save them in the right place and export them so you know where they are, so that you can import them and or email them to each other, your teaching colleagues. Okay, thanks.